We are learning to ask thin and thick questions before, during and after reading. Let's start about thinking about thin questions. A thin question is a question where the answers can be found directly in the book. So we don't have to look anywhere else. The answer's right in the book. And usually the answer has minimum details, so there's not a lot to the answer, and there is only one correct answer. Now, to do this activity, you are going to need to make up a dice like what I have here, and you need to name each side of the dice with some thin question starters. So my thin question starters are when, where, and I've got where 2 times. How many, who, and what. So I'm going to think about the story Rapunzel, and I'm going to use my thin question dice to ask a question before reading. So I rolled my dice and it came up with where. So I need to think about a question that starts with where that I can ask before reading my story Rapunzel. So my question before reading is, where does the story take place? And it's a thin question because the answer is going to be in the story. Now I read the first half of the story, and after reading the first half of the story, I find out that where it is happening is in a garden and in a tower. So I've answered my first thin question. Now that I'm halfway through my story, I'm going to roll my thin question dice again, and this time I rolled it and I came up with the starter of when. So my question is going to be, when does Rapunzel get rescued? And after reading the remaining part of the story, I find out that the answer is she gets rescued when the prince finds her. Now, after reading, I need to roll my thin question dice again, and this time it landed on who. So I'm going to ask a question after reading, and my after reading question was, who was the bad character, the villain in the story? And the answer is in the story, and it is the witch. So you are going to use the thin question dice to ask questions before, during and after reading.